And let's get you the latest updates on the members of the European Parliament who are in Srinagar. Keep in mind, these are 23 MPs who are on a visit to Jammu and Kashmir. They've now backed New Delhi on the Kashmir policy. In a media interaction on day 2 of their visit, the EU MPs have supported the Modi government's decision of scrapping Article 370, referring to it as India's internal matter. The delegation also extended its support to India in its fight against terror and called terrorism a global challenge. The EU panel also said that Kashmiris want peace and that the Indian government is clearly committed to the valley's development. This delegation did deny interfering in India's internal matter and added that they will not be submitting any report to the European Parliament. The lawmakers said that Modi government should allow opposition MPs to visit Jammu and Kashmir. Meanwhile, as the political slugfest continues over their visit, the EU panel has rejected the criticism that they are facing, stating that they are very angry at being referred to as Nazi lovers. They further said that their visit to Kashmir is not political, but they're here only as a fact-finding team.
All the problems of Kashmir are linked with terrorism. We saw all the assets, beautiful scenery here, all the possibility for tourist development, agriculture development, industry development, handicraft, and everything were understood from all our contacts also with business people, is blocked, is stopped by terrorism. So we like that all the international community, all the countries, wherever they are, work jointly against terrorism.
I know that the terrorism now is a world problem. It's a problem of France, it's a problem of Europe, it's a problem of world, and I don't want Kashmir become a second Afghanistan. And for me it was the occasion to have information about, I repeat, what's happened in Kashmir, and never forget that if a war is finishing, if the situation is nearly finishing, is not finishing in the Middle East, the international of terrorism can find a new place in the future. And I think it's not your interest, it's not the interest of the world that the new place for the terrorism became Kashmir. And after that, I repeat, to conclude, we are not here to interfere in Indian politics. And when I read in some newspaper or yesterday on TV that we can be Nazi or I don't know why. It's very strange for me to start a sort of career at 61 years old, but I think if you watch my past in Wikipedia or something like that, I think I won't be Minister of France or I won't be elected 14 times in different functions if I were like that. And if I can give just an advice to some journalists, please, before to write something, read a little bit the biography of people. Thanks for your attention.
Now, my colleague Anjana Kashyap also interacted with some of these MPs on their visit to the valley.
How was your experience in Kashmir? The second part is, are you better equipped now, after ground experience, to counter a certain propaganda, or how a large section of the Western media has actually connived to portray a very dark image of Kashmir? Are you better equipped to handle those questions or to counter them?
First of all, it's a good sign that India has a very free press. You know, if you look at the neighboring countries of India, you won't see so much freedom and so much democracy in other parts of Asia and South Asia in particular. So this is
we had very interesting discussion yesterday afternoon with some responsible of civil society who was involved in association, who was involved in the normal life. And what was this message? Maybe it was the most interesting because it was from the heart. What these people said, they said, we just want to be Indian, we are Indian citizens and we want to be Indian like all the other Indian citizens. We want to have a development like other parts of the country, and we hope that this change of stature will be occasion for our region to be a better level of development, better level for my young to go to school, better level for my mother to go in hospital, and that's all.
So those are the comments that have come in from the MPs who've hit back at all the criticism that they're facing. Also, Shuja ul Haq is joining us with more details on this story. Shuja, there's been a lot of backlash that the government also has faced over this particular visit by these parliamentarians from the European Union. But clearly at this point, the message that the government is trying to send across is that the reason they've gone ahead and allowed this is to go ahead and counter Pakistan's propaganda on what's happening in the valley.
Well, Akshita, that's right. This visit has been mired by controversies ever since there was information about, this parliamentary panel from the Europe coming in. Since yesterday, when they touched down in the valley, there have been various kinds of questions being, asked, many pointing fingers as to why they were called in and why the, own MPs from the Indian Parliament were not allowed in. There were also questions as to who exactly are they meeting. Why, it's a fact that their interactions have been very restrictive in the valley. In fact, some of them, themselves accepted and said that they had very little time and they hoped that they could spend more time whenever they come next. But they said that they have some understanding of the problem and some understanding of the situation now. Not exactly the entire understanding, but some of it. So all these things have in itself become controversies in one part or the another. But the fact is that they spent a day here. They went to certain places, spent some time in Dal Lake area, received some delegations, few ex-servicemen, some panchayat members, a few civil society members who we don't exactly know, they're unknown so far. So their overall sense has been that the Article 370 is an internal matter of the country. They also expressed hope that there would be peace between India and Pakistan. In fact, to a pointed question over the conflict that exists on the borders and the ceasefire violations, some of the members said that they want people to talk to each other. So referring to India and Pakistan that they should sit together and talk. So overall, this visit, has concluded today with leaving many questions unanswered. But yes, one can definitely say that they have backed the stand of the government of India that Article 370 was an internal matter of this country. So these EU MPs have stated that they had a chance to interact with a lot of different groups in the valley, with the civil administration, with the governor, with the police, as well as with the locals. The details, of course, are not out in the public domain about really what the interaction or what their schedule was like. But also interestingly, I should just stay with us on this, the centre was left red-faced when, in fact, a visiting European MP called for also allowing opposition lawmakers to visit J&K. A member of the visiting EU delegation, Nicholas Fest, in fact, questioned the rationale behind barring opposition MPs from going ahead and visiting Jammu and Kashmir. Fest said that if the centre can let people of the European Parliament into the valley, then they must allow opposition politicians as well. The Modi government has been scuttling visits so far by opposition MPs to the valley. A joint delegation of opposition MPs, including Congress's Rahul Gandhi, wasn't allowed from the Srinagar airport to enter into the city 2 months ago. Earlier, the opposition too had questioned the Modi government's move to go ahead and bring these EU lawmakers to the valley. BJP's ally in Maharashtra, Shiv Sena, has also opposed this delegation visit to Kashmir.
It was very interesting, lots of data, lots of information, but I think if you let in people from the European Parliament, you should also let in opposition politicians from India. So there is some kind of disbalance, but and the government should somehow address it. I think as long as we have access to Kashmir, politicians from India are entitled to have access as well.
I was surprised to get this invitation because it seemed to me that it stressed the fact this would be a VIP visit to meet the Prime Minister and other dignitaries, and an opportunity to briefly visit Kashmir. And it suggested to me that this was very much an effort to promote the Indian government's point of view. And yet I have spoken in the European Parliament to express my concerns about the Indian government's actions and about the situation in Kashmir. And so I was surprised to get an invitation of this kind. As you say, I I said I'd like to accept the invitation, but I would like the opportunity to meet with ordinary people in Kashmir, perhaps accompanied by journalists and not by police officers or military personnel. And within 48 hours, the invitation was withdrawn on the grounds that the party was full. Now, that may or may not be the case. I cannot say, but I'm suspicious about it.
And let's listen to some of the reactions that have come in today from the opposition, who are clearly up in arms over this particular delegation visit.
One feels highly offended that even a former Chief Minister, Ghulam Nabi Azad, was sent back from the airport with Rahulji, and he had to subsequently go with the permission of the Supreme Court.
कश्मीर भारत का अभिन्न अंग है, था और रहेगा। हम यही तो दावा करते रहे हैं शुरू से। आज वहां पे यूरोपियन यूनियन आएगा, फिर कल यूएस की टीम आएगी, फिर कल यूके की टीम आएगी। कश्मीर हमारा हिस्सा है और हम कश्मीर के ऊपर कोई विदेशी राजनीति से समझौता नहीं कर सकते। ये प्रधानमंत्री जी की और भारत सरकार की बहुत बड़ी कमजोरी है, विदेश नीति की बहुत बड़ी कमजोरी है। आज जो यूरोपियन यूनियन के लोग कश्मीर के मामले में आ रहे हैं और देखने आ रहे हैं और जांच करने आ रहे हैं, वो कौन होते हैं?
Taking this once again across to Shuja ul Haq, who's getting us the latest from Srinagar. Shuja, essentially there are two criticisms that the government faces. One is with regards to why members of the opposition are still not allowed, why a delegation of members of parliament from opposition parties are still not allowed to enter the valley and see the situation for themselves. And second is about why these particular European Union parliamentarians are allowed in the valley, when our stand has always been that, you know, it's an issue, that it's an internal issue of India's, and there's no question of internationalizing it.
That's absolutely right. There have been, as I was pointing out, there were various questions and, criticisms, so to speak, which has come around on this visit from the opposition and other quarters as well. Of course, one of them is why the Indian MPs were not allowed to enter the valley and during this time, and why, European parliamentarians would be allowed to go in. Some have also pointed fingers as to whether this was just a guided tour and very restrictive, by the state administration or the government, so that the only certain kind of a picture is painted on the ground realities. That has also been one of the major criticisms that this delegation has faced. Also, like we've been mentioning it, there a lot of people have been asking questions on the kind of nature of this entire visit. Many asking questions on who exactly were the organizers of this entire delegation. In fact, one of our colleagues also pointed that question to some of the delegation members, and we hardly got any answer to that question. So, like I was mentioning, it has been mired with controversies. Kashmir definitely is in a difficult position at this point of time. For last 3 months, there have been various kinds of difficulties that common people have been suffering because of the restrictions after the Article 370 abrogation, and then subsequent shutdowns that we have seen. In fact, Akshita, if I may, just yesterday when this visit started here, we saw a spontaneous shutdown that was observed all across Srinagar city and other areas in the valley, and valley remained tense. There were at least close to 12 places where clashes and stone pelting was reported. So it is a difficult thing, and a visit like this happening during this time definitely will raise a lot of questions, and that's exactly what the opposition has also been doing.
Yes, so the government is maintaining that the reason they've allowed this particular visit is to change the narrative that's being created and spread by Pakistan. Shuja, thanks for joining us with all those details.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you will love to.